like his brother. The wife, the mother, contributing to the favoritism and being complicit in it and taking a hand in it. She disguised Jacob so that he would feel hairy like Esau. This ruse worked, and the blessing intended for Esau was pronounced on Jacob. Genesis 27, verses 1 through 41. Look what is taking place. God is in the weave, but human beings do not always follow God's instruction about love of the family. To escape Esau's vengeance, Jacob traveled to Haran, where Rebekah's brother Laban lived. Genesis 27, chapter 42nd to 43rd verse. There Jacob married the two daughters of Laban, namely Leah and Rachel, and became the father of one daughter and 11 of his eventual 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. Remember those 12 sons. Genesis 25th chapter, 15, 30 through 34. Joseph was the last son born to Jacob in Haran. On their way to Canaan, after residing in Haran for 20 years, Benjamin was born. He and Joseph were the only two sons of Rachel. Tragically, Rachel died while giving birth to Benjamin. Eventually, Jacob settled his family in Canaan, near Bethel. Genesis 35th chapter in the first verse. A journey hundreds of miles from Haran, but he believed that he would enjoy his last years in relative calm, as opposed to all the strife he had experienced thus far. However, some of Jacob's most heartbreaking trials were yet to come, sowed from seeds his own past. Family discord. These are the generations of Jacob. Genesis 37 chapter, verses 2 through 4. The book of Genesis, organized particularly by the use of the Hebrew phrase, translated, "These are the generations." What is a generation? Are used for the last time. Generations of family. You have a sister, you have a brother, and others. You have one sister, then another sister. Each one of those are generations. How long is a generation? All right. 4 generations of sisters. You have, we'll say, Janice, we have Jean, we have Dorothy, and we may have what? April. 4 sisters, that's 4 generations. All right. Each interestingly emphasized the continuation of life, introduced stories concerning with those lives in some way. Importantly, Jacob was the grandson of Abraham. You know who Abraham is, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Are you familiar with him? Matthew, the 1st chapter, verses 2. Who was given great covenants promised by God. Genesis, the 12th chapter, verses 1 through 3. Do you know what we're talking about there? I'm hoping that you do. Genesis, the 12th chapter. Genesis, the 12th chapter, verses 1, 2, 3. We will turn to that real quickly just to show you the foundation of where we're going. Genesis, the 12th chapter, verses 1 to 3. Now the Lord has said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindreds and from thy father's house into a land that I will show thee. God when he wants to work with you, he knows that your family members will influence you. Your family members will control you. Your family members will dominate you and oversee and usurp what God wants done. God has to get you away from your family. God has to get you away from your families sometimes to do what he needs to do. And I will make thee a great nation. This is a promise God is making to Abraham. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless thee that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Get this, everybody on this earth is being blessed because of the blessing God gave to Abraham. Abraham and the land worship, communion, and promise. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding a flock with his brothers. Joseph's birth is recorded in Genesis, the 30th chapter, mentioning how Jacob placed Rachel and Joseph in the rear of the entourage as Jacob prepared to meet Esau. This preferred treatment foreshadows the family dynamic that would contribute to the drama present in today's text. Since Rachel was Jacob's preferred wife and Joseph was her only son so far, Jacob wanted to reduce the risk of their being harmed from Esau. Remember what happened? How Jacob and his mother and father contrived to the blessing that was supposed to be for the older one, and they, through hook or trickery, through the mother, made his hand feel rough just like the older brother. Esau came seeking revenge for Jacob's previously deceitful action, but also in that deceitful action, his mother was involved in it as well. Division, envious, strife, and family discord all begins with your mother and your father and their favoritism. Favoritism. Do you show favoritism? Jacob was a very successful shepherd, Genesis the 30th chapter, and apparently he indeed intended for Joseph to follow his footsteps. To that end, we see Joseph leaving the family operation in this relatively dry region. It was necessary to move the flock and herd around to provide them with daily food. Sometimes herdsmen would have to go long distance to find food because of the drought in the land and where the grass was growing. You had to have a place where the sheep could eat, and that's where they had find good grass. And the lad with his son Biasthat, and his son was Zipporah, his father's wife. Biasthat and Zipporah were called Jacob's wives, though the actual status of each was that of a handmaid. Zipporah was given to Leah, and when she married Jacob, Genesis, the 29th chapter, Biasthat was given to Rachel at the same time. According to the custom of the time, children born to a wife handmaid by her husband were counted as wives' own children. Example, in the biblical house, son were Dan and Nephilim. Zipporah were Gad and Asher. That's in 35th chapter, verse 26. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. What evil report? We're talking about the evil report of his dreams to his brothers. That's what he brought to his brothers. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. Reason why he loved him so much is because he fathered him when he was very, very old. Okay? So that gave him a special place in his heart. Okay? All right. When Joseph tattling did cultivate good brotherly feelings. Oh, what about Joseph? You don't want to know why his brothers was always against him? He was tattling, always telling everything. How about you? Who is in your family that tells everything, huh? You know what tattling is? To tell with everything you hear. Some of us do that today, right now. Look at Facebook. Everything go on in your family. You put it on Facebook. You're tattling. You're tattling to the whole world. You're tattling. While Joseph tattling didn't cultivate good brotherly feeling. Brothers and sisters don't like you telling on them. Were you telling on your brothers and sisters? Are you telling on your brothers and sisters right today? How about that? Tattling. You know what the old folks call it? Boy, stop that tattling, girl. Today we're calling it what? Gossiping. You talk about everybody and everything that you hear. The favor that was revealed at the meeting with Esau became even more pronounced once Jacob's family had settled in the land. Jacob made no secret of the greater love he had for Joseph. Not only Joseph was one of Rachel's two sons, but he also born late Jacob's life. Jacob was about 90 based on the age relative to Jacob when the whole family arrived in Egypt. There are likely many ways in which Jacob demonstrated his fondness for Joseph. One concrete way Jacob expressed his love was by making a coat of many colors only for Joseph. Why did he make a coat for all of the brothers and sisters? Mothers and fathers, be very wary of how you show favoritism to your children. Love them equally, treat them equally, give them equally, as God gives to you, as God would have you. It stood out against any garment the brothers had been seen. You know of the old television show, The Peacock and All of the Colors. How about that? Something to remember. Fury. And when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all of the brothers and hated him, and they were furious with him, they were extremely angry with him because of that coat that his father made for him. It's because his father was showing favoritism toward him. Let's go to verse number 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told his brother they had hated him yet even more. They hated him more even because of that dream. Now comes another reason why Joseph's brothers hated him. His dreams. He's always telling his dreams. One of his dreams is he go tattling and telling everybody. You know, God sometimes tells us not to tell everything, because some people will use what you tell them about what you're planning or to set things in your way to stop you from doing what you plan on doing. This is just what his brothers will be doing as well. Joseph was one of the few to whom God spoke in this manner. Equally important is the fact that Joseph later demonstrated the God-given abilities to interpret the dreams of others. Example, Joseph could interpret dreams. How about that? Dreams. The Old Testament, Genesis 20:3. Joseph was one of few to whom God spoke in this manner. Joseph could interpret dreams. We have people today, perhaps some in your family, that can interpret dreams and tell you exactly what you are dreamed and what you dreamed and what it was about. All right. And he said unto him, Hear I pray you this dream which I have dreamed, for behold, we were binding sheaves. In other words, this is the example of him showing what it means by when those sheaves, you know what sheaves are, right? What you cut with in the field. Sheaves, okay? And their sheaves were bowing down to his sheaves. How about that? The dream was an image from a grain harvest. Men and women would go out and hand sickle and cut the grain. And they did. They gathered the cutting stalks with sheaves. The sheaves were stacked in the field to wait transport to place of threshing. To make opposites mean to bow down in an act of great respect or worship. Here it signifies that someone else, or who he will, power over those of the others that are bowing down. Why should Joseph think it prudent to tell his brothers about a dream in which they were under his power? Oh, that made them brothers angry. Let's look at verse 8. And his brethren said unto him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? The symbolizer of the dream did not confuse Joseph's brothers. Joseph saw himself as one who would reign over the brothers. They immediately grasped the meaning and hated him yet the more. Though the Bible is silent on this matter, it is possible that the brothers have already discussed killing Joseph. Compared to Esau's ideas in Genesis, Joseph's brothers, of course, did not know how important the fulfillment of Joseph's dream would be for the men in their own lives. Let's look at verse 9. In the sky, and the dream yet another dream, and told his brethren, and he told, behold, how he had dreamed and dreamed more, and behold, the sun and the moon and even the stars was obedient to him. Look at that. Ooh. For Joseph, the second dream likely provided a verification that the message of his first was true, since the two dreams concern the same subject. We may compare this with Pharaoh's two dreams in the same night. Those dreams had different images, but the same meaning. Joseph's second dream, his implication is serious as the first. Not only would he be the 11 stars representing his 11 brothers, offering observance to him, so would Jacob and Leah, who still lived and represented his sister, Joseph's mother, now deceased, for Genesis, the 35th chapter, the 19th verse. The number 11 leaves no doubt about whom these images signify. Verse number 10, and he told it to his father and to his brethren. His father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed?